Well, hello, Divi Nation, and welcome to a brand new Divi use case live stream, where each week we show you how to add new design and functionality to your Divi websites. And today I will be showing you how to add a label or labels to a background image to create some engaging tooltips. And I'll be using nothing but Divi to do this, and we'll be using some blurb modules with hover effects. And we'll also be using the Fitness Gym landing page layout pack, which is free within the Divi Builder. It was just released, I believe, a week ago. So let's go ahead and jump in and get to it. But before I do, I want to make sure that you're aware to check out the video description for a link to our blog post that goes along with this use case in case you need more information. There's also a link in there to our Divi product page in case you need to check out Divi for the first time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear for everyone. Welcome. Please go ahead and make yourself known there in the chat, and we'll make sure and say hi and get some questions answered, hopefully, as we go along. All right. All right, so looks like we're getting acquainted. Hello, everyone. Looking like everybody can hear me okay. Hello, Dennis, Charles, Monique, Ali. Welcome, everyone. Again, I've already said this, but please go ahead and ask the questions that you want answered in this chat here. Hopefully, myself or someone from our team can chime in and get those answered for you. All right, so just to kind of give you a preview of what we're going to be doing today, as you can see on my screen here, this is actually the design, the complete design that we're going to build. As you can see, they have some like hot spots here over this background image. And as you hover over each one, there's a engaging tooltip that pops up with some, information on, the fitness or quality fitness features here. It would be good to showcase on maybe certain products that you have just to add some more engagement with your visitors. And it's just a creative way to use the blurb module. And excited to get in here to show you how this is done. It is also responsive, and we'll get into how to make sure that is the case a little later on. All right, so what you will need for this use case tutorial here is the Divi theme installed and active, and we'll be actually using the layout pack, the Fitness Gym layout pack with the landing page. So those are the two main things you'll need, and of course your favorite cup of coffee or tea is also a help as well. I'm only stuck with water right now, so I've had enough coffee for today. All right, let's get going. First thing I'm going to do is add a new page. So let's go to our WordPress dashboard, go to pages, and then add new. This is actually a post. I want to create a new page here. And let's just give your page a name. Can't type. And then deploy the visual builder. And here is where we'll, choose the option to choose a pre-made layout. So we can grab that Fitness Gym landing page. So I'm going to scroll down to the Fitness Gym layout pack. I'm going to select it. I'm going to use this layout to use the landing page. That's going to deploy it to the page. Give it a second to do that. It's always a good idea to go ahead and publish it. before you start. And I'm going to make my way down the page to this spot here where it says featured programs here on the right. This is actually a row, a 2-column row. And I want to add my background image to this column here on the left. And then I'm going to add my blurbs in there to position them over my background image to serve as my tooltips. So to do that, I'm going to jump into my row settings here. And I forgot to mention that you will need an image that is exactly 320 pixels wide for this tutorial specifically. Of course, you can always go ahead and tweak the design later on to fit your own image that you have, but the reason why I chose a 320 width image is for mobile. Most mobile phones, the smaller ones, are 320 pixels wide, so I thought it would be a good idea to use an image that will work on mobile phone as well. All right, so I'm going to jump into my row settings, and I'm going to go down to my column 1 background. And this is where I'm going to add my background image. All right, so here it is, my 320, I think it's by 507. So for this one, you can grab the image on the blog post. I think it's there, so you can just drag it to your computer or whatever and save it for this tutorial. But this is a 320 by 507 dimension image here. So I'm going to upload that. And then I'm going to make sure that my background image settings are set to, the image size is set to actual size, because I want it to be the actual size of the image, no matter what the browser width is. And then the column 1 background image position, let's go ahead and make it center left. And then for the repeat, I want to make it no repeat. Okay, so there it is. There's my background image. It's ready to go. There's a few more customizations that I'm going to need to do. I do want to make sure that my row, I'm going to go to my design settings here and make sure my row has a custom size or a custom width. I'm going to make it 700 pixels. You'll notice that I'm using the pixel length unit a lot for this design. It's because I want everything to stay in place. It's one of those fixed length units. They don't, pixels normally don't, or they don't move around. When you add a certain width as a pixel or a margin or a padding, those, the pixel length unit doesn't adjust to your browser width or the size of the container that it's in. So that's why I'll be sticking to pixels for the most part, because I really want everything to stick in place. All right, so I do want to add a custom padding here. So I have my custom width to 700 pixels. You can see it's kind of squished together, this text over here on the right, but we can fix that easily. The custom padding I want to give, let's make sure the top and bottom padding is gone. All right. And this is actually optional, but it kind of guards against having to, adjust your padding just right to make sure that the image stays visible. Because when you start adding blurbs or your content in here, the actual size of your column or the height of your column is dependent on how much content you have in that column. Of course, you could also select, equalize column heights or whatever, but even though it's still dependent on the content. So in order to guard against that, I'm going to make sure my column is the exact height of my background image. And to do that, I'm going to just go to my custom CSS here and under my advanced tab in my row settings. I'm going to scroll down to my column 1 main element here. And I'm just going to give it a height of 507 because this is the actual height of my image. So if you have a different height on your image, you might want to change that so that it matches. And what this does is override the, dependency that the column has on the content and just makes it a set height no matter what. All right. So let's go ahead and save out those changes. And when I hover over my row here, you can see that I have, let me go ahead and change this content of this text module over here just so I can, let's call it Smart Fitness. All right, and let's go ahead and save that out. Now when I hover over my row, you can see that it hugs the top and bottom nicely. Everything fits. Of course, you want to be careful for this content over here on the right column not to, extend past the row to kind of increase the size of the row height. This actual row height will stay the same, but the content will overlap. So just a warning there. Make sure that this content over here is not as high as the background image over here on the left. All right, so now we're ready to start adding our blurbs. But before I do that, I just want to check over here in the comments, make sure I don't have any questions. Looking good so far. I know we haven't covered a whole lot of ground, but just a real quick hello to everyone. If you are just joining us, this is our weekly Divi use case live stream where each week we show you how to add design and functionality to your Divi websites. And today I'm going to actually show you how to add background labels as engaging tooltips for your Divi website. And I'm using the Fitness Gym landing page layout pack. All right, so right now we've added our background image and we've adjusted our row to fit the background image nicely. Now we're going to add our modules, blurb modules. All right, so let me, you can see right now, whenever you get into some trouble here in the Visual Builder where you can't, click on something, it's always a good idea to go down here and change your hover state, or let's see, to the grid mode here. And also you can, so that you can see where everything is nicely. You can also do click mode, which will allow you to see certain things unless you click on it and then it engages it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to click mode. That way I can see that nicely. Then I'm going to add a module. I'm going to do a blurb module. All right, so that kind of looks funky right now, but we'll fix that. I'm going to give my blurb a title here. We'll just call it Focus. And then update the text here. You want to be careful because these tooltips aren't really, they're going to be designed to fit within the background image container. So you need to be careful about adding a whole lot of content. I'll just put, something like the key to success, something short like that for my content. And then I'm going to click to use an icon. For this icon, I'm going to use this one right here, this dot with the kind of border around it, like a pinpoint or a hotspot icon. Then I'm going to go over to my design settings. Then I'm going to give it a custom color. Actually going to give it a yellow color here. And I'm going to make it a circle, but I'm going to actually hide the circle color. So I'm going to take that out, let's just click on this transparent no color option for my circle color. But I do want to show a border, but I only want to show the border on hover. That's going to add a nice hover effect. So to do that, I want to go to set my default border color to completely transparent, so I can't see it by default. But then I want to click on my hover icon there, click on my hover tab, and then I want to give it the same color, same yellow color as my icon there. And so if I toggle back and forth, you can see over here in the preview what it's going to look like when you hover. It's still a little big of an icon, so I'm going to change the size here in a moment. One of the things I'm going to do is change it from a top placement to a left. There you can see it's placed over here on the left. And I'm going to give it a custom font size of 40 pixels. You want to be careful about going too low on the font size there, because then it stops being a circle border around there. So, but 40 is a good size for that. And you can see my tooltip is already coming along here. Let's jump over to my title text here to customize that text there. And you can always hover over the preview here and click on this paintbrush here. It'll take you to that location here on the editor or the settings modal here. All right, so my title level is a H4, so I want to make sure I'm editing that one. And I want to make sure that it is a white color. But I don't want it to be a white color by default, because I want it to show on hover. So I'm going to hide my text here, and I'm going to show it whenever I hover over the blurb module. So to do that, I want to make sure to make this transparent by default. Go to my hover options. This is for my text color, or my title text color. And I'm going to make it, let's go ahead and make it this yellow again, just for the title. And there you can see when I have the hover tab deployed, it shows up there. Can't really see it very well, but we are going to add a background to that text on hover as well. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Let's give our body, let's see, let's change our font weight to bold. Yeah, you can see it a bit better there. All right, let's go down to my body text. And let's go ahead and give this a transparent color as well on default, and then give it a hover color of white. All right, so now that's done. The only thing I think we have left is to give it a custom size. Let's go ahead and give the module a custom width of 220 pixels. All right, that'll allow us to align it nicely when we move it around with our custom margins. So I want to give I'm just going to keep my module alignment the same, and let's come down to our spacing, and let's give this is the point in which we want to move our module using pixel length units in a certain location on my background image. To do that, I'm going to give this one a custom margin of 15 pixels on the top. And let's give it a left margin of 90. That puts it right on her forehead right there, because we're going to be highlighting the focus aspect of fitness. All right. And then make sure and give this this module a bottom margin of 0. By default, every module will have a little bit of custom margin at the bottom, so that just takes it out so that we can better gauge, our length units moving forward. To add a background to my text over here on the right on hover, I'm actually going to use a box shadow for this. This is getting a little creative with box shadows because, of course, if we were designing this from scratch or something, we would, probably have this, or we can actually do this in custom CSS. But since we have these design options already available in the Divi Builder, might as well take advantage of the box shadow for this background. And this allows us to deploy it on hover as well, which is nice. So let's go ahead and add let's add this box shadow here, which will be the box shadow that is an inner shadow. That's important for this. And the settings are you're just going to have to play around with it. But the horizontal position, this is going to move the shadow over. And since we know our module is 220 pixels wide, we can play around with this. If I made it 157 pixels, you'll see that it goes from the left to the right, 157. But if I give it a negative value of negative 157 pixels, it pulls it from the left to the right. And that's what we want. And I'm going to get rid of the vertical position, set it to 0. That way so you can see it serves as a nice background image over the text. Now all we need to do is give it a custom color, which let's go ahead and give it a blue color that matches the layout here. This blue down here will work well. All right, so there you go. You may need to add some custom padding. We didn't really do that. Let's go back to our padding here because it is hugging the top a bit. So I can give it maybe 5 pixels on the top there. That looks pretty good. And maybe give some more padding on the bottom. Let's just lock it so it's the same. All right, so that looks good. And that takes care of our first module, or blurb module, tooltip there. And to create our next one, to speed up the design process, as you can see, I messed up because now I have the box shadow is actually showing up by default. So I'm going to really quickly, sorry about that, go back, go to my box shadow, and I actually want to change it to my shadow color to be transparent actually by default. And then I'm going to click on the hover, and then I'm going to add my color on hover. There you go. Sorry about that. All right, so now I'm going to duplicate this module. And it's already kind of in a good position, but we just need to tweak it a little bit. So to do that, let's open up the settings. And let's go to our spacing here. And for this custom margin, let's go ahead and do 0 pixel top. It brings it up a little bit. And let's change our left to just 15 instead of 90. Oop, 15 pixels. So that hovers right over that piece of equipment there that she's using. And that takes care of that. You can, of course, update the text content however you like. But now we're going to create another one. So we'll continue the process of duplicating another blurb here. And then I'm going to open up the settings. This one we're going to get a little bit more creative because we want to hover over her core section here, which is going to not leave us a whole lot of room here on the right for a tooltip, unless we want to extend it out of our image, which can cause some headaches on mobile and things like that. It just makes it a whole lot easier if we can keep everything contained in here. So to do that, I'm actually going to show you how you can, flip a blurb module around so that the icon isn't on the left, it's actually on the right. To do that, it takes a few snippets of custom CSS, and I'll show you how to do that very easily. So I'm opened up my blurb settings here, and the first thing I'm going to do is go to my advanced tab, go to my custom CSS, and then I'm going to go to my main element. And what you don't see, but on the back end, this is actually to create the blurb is actually using a CSS property called display table. So it's basically setting it up with 2 columns. We're just going to flip those columns around. To do that, we're going to give it a direction of right to left. So that's all you have to put, RTL. So direction, RTL, and that changes it around from default, which is left to right to left. And so right now, you can't really tell, but let's just deploy this hover effect just so you can see over here in the visual. You can see that the text is now on the left and the image or icon is on the right. But there's still, it's hugging it too close together. So to change that, we're just going to give it my blurb image here. I'm just going to give it a custom padding, left padding here of 15 pixels. That way when I look at it, just kind of creates some space. All right, so that's easy. We flipped our blurb around there. Now we need to go and change our box shadow to, if I look in the hover effect, you can see it's not correct. So I just need to change my horizontal position from a negative 157 to a positive, and there you go. It's all done. So let's go ahead and pause there for a moment. We've created our third blurb, and I haven't even checked in on the questions. All right, so not a whole lot of questions, so I'm just going to keep on trucking along. So I do have a comment from Chanwani. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but font size should be automatically resized according to responsive windows. Yes, that is correct. And of course you can do that if you were creating larger images, larger tooltips, things like that. But with this setup, you really don't need to, because everything's kind of contained in a 320 width image here. So it doesn't really need to scale on mobile because it's already kind of the size of a mobile phone anyway. But thanks for the tip. Let's continue on. Very good. Tanya says, great. I want to use this tip to mark all the products shown in this background image on the home page. That's actually a great idea. All right, so I have one more tooltip to tackle here, and we'll be done. Let's go ahead and grab this top one here. I'm just going to copy it and paste it below. And let's make sure it's kind of positioned over her knee there as a, to comment maybe about the importance of joint health or something like that. And then to do that, I'm just going to go to my spacing here. Let's give it a top margin of 35 pixels and then a left margin of, let's see, we can adjust it however you like, but you get the point. It's about 100. That looks nice. All right, so I'm going to save it out and we'll check out the final result here. All right, so there are my little hotspots there. If I hover over it, you can see my tooltips pop up there. And of course, you see my custom blurb here that was flipped around, which gives us more room on the left there for our tooltip information. All right, let's just quickly jump over to, let's see. Let's just kind of shrink up my browser here so you can see what it would look like on, different browser heights. You can see here's kind of like a tablet view, which kind of stays the same. And then the mobile view, it gets smaller, of course, but you can see that it will work as well. If you want to, you could, of course, disable or hide it on mobile if you don't want the tooltip functionality. On mobile, I think in most cases, depending on your browser, if you just kind of tap the hotspot icon here, it will just show the tooltip when you tap on it. All right. Let's see if I have any more questions before I close here today. All right. Everything looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and close it out for today. All right, well, thanks again for joining us today. That's all I got for you. Uh, I hope that you enjoyed this Divi use case live stream. Don't forget to subscribe to our blog newsletter, our YouTube channel, and of course, like us on Facebook. And go ahead and don't forget to check out our next live stream, which will be on Friday at 3 p.m. with the WP Roundup, or the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keaton. And don't forget to check us out on Tuesday, which will be hopefully having another live stream like this one. And don't forget, if you want to contribute your own expertise to our Elegant Themes blog, you can do so. Check the link in our video description for more information of how you can contribute your own unique content. Thanks again, guys. I look forward to seeing you in our next video.